Welcome to the Vedic Mystics channel. In Vedic astrology, one of the most important foundations of a birth chart is the strength of the ascendant or lagna. The lagna reflects not just your physical appearance, but your inner drive, your resilience, and your ability to recognize and act upon life's opportunities. But what happens when the lagnesh, the lord of the ascendant, seems weak or poorly placed in the chart? Don't worry. There are two powerful yogas that can uplift the strength of the lagnesh. These are Parvata and Kahala yogas. These yogas can greatly enhance the influence of the lagna and its lord, creating a strong foundation regardless of initial appearances. So, next time you're analyzing a chart, don't stop at just the strength of the lagnesh, look deeper because Parvata and Kahala yogas might be quietly empowering the native from behind the scenes. The concept of these yogas is easy and intuitive to understand. If the lagnesh lacks strength, it makes sense to first look at the strength of its lord, the lord of the lagnesh. This is your first order check, and it's the foundation of Parvata Yoga. If the Lagnesh seems weak and its Lord has strength, then you'll find that the Parvata Yoga can bring stability and support. But what if the Lord of the Lagnesh lacks strength as well? That's where the next level comes into play. This is your second order check. You look at the strength of the Lord of the Lord of the Lagnesh, which forms the basis of the Kahala Yoga. This can also uplift and empower the chart, bringing balance and resilience. Important to note, in both these yogas, the Lagnesh being in its own sign doesn't count in the formation of these yogas. Now let's dive deeper into the specifications of Parvata Yoga. This yoga forms when the lord of the Lagnesh, the ruler of the ascendant, is placed in its own sign or its sign of exaltation. But that's not all. For Parvata Yoga to manifest, the lord of the Lagnesh must also be positioned in one of the Kendra or Trikona houses. The Kendra houses are the first, fourth, seventh, and tenth, while the Trikona houses are the fifth and ninth. Remember, the first house is both a Kendra and a Trikona, so it holds special significance. Now, this structure might seem familiar to those of you who know about the famous pancha mahapurusha yogas. In those yogas, a true planet in its sign of exaltation or its own sign in a Kendra forms the yoga. And here's the interesting part. Parvata Yoga is essentially an extension of the Panchamahapurusha Yogas, but specifically tailored to reflect how planets influence the ascendant. So, just as the Panchamahapurusha Yogas highlight the strength of planets in key positions, Parvata Yoga focuses on the ascendant strength, allowing for growth, stability, and support in the native's life. Let us also look at the specification for Kahala Yoga. Kahala Yoga forms when the Lord of the Lagnesh is in its sign of exaltation or in its own sign and is in Kendra or Trikona. Now that we've looked at the specifications of Parvata and Kahala Yoga, let's talk about the results they can bring. The outcomes of these yogas are incredibly positive. Because they are directly tied to the Lagnesh, the Lord of the Ascendant, the effects of these yogas are deeply connected to the native's personality. Individuals who have Parvata Yoga or Kahala Yoga in their charts tend to display qualities that everyone desires: kindness, happiness, nobility, popularity, and of course, wealth. These are all attributes that contribute to a successful and fulfilling life, and these yogas tend to bring them out in the person naturally. The lagnacious strength boosted by these yogas shapes the individual into a well rounded, respected, and prosperous person. Next, we'll look at two example charts, one for each of these yogas, so we can see how they play out in real life. Now let's look at the first example chart for Parvata Yoga, that of the current Pope, Pope Francis I. Pope Francis has a Gemini Lagna, which means Mercury is the Lagnesh of his chart. At first glance, Mercury is placed in the seventh house in an ordinary position. However, the true strength of this Lagnesh comes from Jupiter, the Lord of Mercury. Jupiter in this chart is in Sagittarius, its own sign, and is placed in a Kendra, the seventh house from the ascendant. This creates a powerful connection, and Jupiter forms the Hamsa Mahapurusha Yoga, which brings immense strength and dignity to the chart. Through the lens of Parvata Yoga, this placement of Jupiter boosts the Lagnesh Mercury, lending Pope Francis a powerful sense of purpose, inner peace, and spiritual joy. Pope Francis is widely known as the People's Pope. He advocates for the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed. His simple living and humble approach to leadership have made him one of the most loved and respected figures in the world. His popularity isn't limited to Catholics alone. He is admired globally, even among those of other faiths or no faith at all. Despite not being personally wealthy, Pope Francis holds assets associated with his role as the head of the Catholic Church, which contribute to a net worth in the millions. His popularity, sense of compassion, and relatable demeanor are all attributes that can be traced back to the strength of his Lagnesh, enhanced by Parvata Yoga. The second example for Parvata Yoga is the chart of Dwayne Johnson. In Dwayne Johnson's chart, Mercury is again the Lagnesh as he has a Virgo ascendant. However, there's an interesting twist. Mercury is actually debilitated in his chart, meaning it's not in a strong position. But the strength of Mercury comes from its lord, Jupiter. Jupiter is placed in its own sign in Sagittarius and it resides in the fourth house, Akendra. This configuration forms the Hamsa Mahapurusha Yoga, which infuses Jupiter with incredible strength. As a result, Jupiter boosts the strength of the Lagnesh Mercury, creating a powerful Parvata Yoga in his chart. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is known for his charismatic personality. He's admired globally, not just as a wrestler or actor, but as a public figure who stands out with his unique blend of strength, humor, discipline, and warmth. He is humble, grounded, empathetic, and incredibly generous, qualities that perfectly align with the results of Parvata Yoga. These attributes are not just seen in his career, but in how people view him as a person they look up to. It's clear that the strength of his Lagnesh, enhanced by Parvata Yoga, plays a key role in shaping his exceptional character and success. Now, let's shift to the fascinating example of Kahala Yoga in the chart of the legendary Muhammad Ali. In Muhammad Ali's chart, the Lagnesh is the moon. However, the moon is weak as it's a new moon. So, we next look at the lord of the moon, which is Saturn. But here, Saturn is also debilitated in the chart, adding another layer of complexity. At this point, we need to go one step further and examine the Lord of Saturn, Mars. And here's where the magic happens. Mars is in its own sign in Aries, placed in a Kendra, specifically the 10th house. This satisfies the key conditions for Kahala Yoga, which imbues strength into the lagnesh and enhances the native's overall vitality. Additionally, Mars forms a Ruchaka Mahapurusha Yoga, further reinforcing its powerful influence in the chart. This astrological configuration plays a significant role in shaping Muhammad Ali's incredible personality. He was known for his compassion, generosity, and deep commitment to humanitarian causes. From supporting hunger relief to Parkinson's research, Ali devoted his life to helping others. He was also known for quietly visiting sick children, refugees, and those in need, often avoiding publicity, further exemplifying the selfless nature of the Kahala Yoga. On top of his humanitarian work, Muhammad Ali was charismatic and magnetic. Whether in the boxing ring, on a talk show, or simply in a crowd, his presence was unmistakable. His energy was infectious and his influence was undeniable. This profound charisma and magnetism can be attributed to the powerful influence of Kahala Yoga, enhancing his natural ability to draw people in and leave a lasting impact. Finally, we look at the chart of another well known figure, John Travolta, who, like Muhammad Ali, has a Cancer ascendant. In John Travolta's chart, the lagnesh is the moon, which is placed in the sign of the sun. The sun itself is in the sign of Saturn, which brings us to the key planet for evaluating Kahala Yoga, Saturn. Saturn is exalted in Libra, positioned in a Kendra, the fourth house. This placement of Saturn satisfies the criteria for Kahala Yoga and forms the powerful Sashamahapurusha Yoga, which strengthens the Lagnesh and enhances its influence over the individual's personality. John Travolta is known for his magnetic screen presence and warm smile, making him a beloved heartthrob in the 1970s and a fan favorite ever since. But his appeal goes beyond his roles on screen. He is also a devoted family man and maintains strong, meaningful friendships within and outside Hollywood. He is widely described as thoughtful, generous, kind, humble, and well mannered, qualities that align perfectly with the attributes brought by Kahala Yoga. Like the other celebrities we've discussed, John Travolta is also wealthy, with a career spanning decades, reflecting the overall strength and success provided by the powerful planetary placements. In conclusion, Parvata and Kahala yogas take the principles of the Mahapurusha yogas and extend them to enhance the strength of the Lagnesh, the Lord of the Ascendant. While these yogas share similarities with the Pancha Mahapurusha yogas, they do have key differences. Unlike the Pancha Mahapurusha yogas, which focus on the five true planets and their placements in the Kendra houses, Parvata and Kahala yogas also apply to the sun and the moon and include the Trikona houses, the fifth and ninth houses, instead of just restricting to the Kendras. These yogas offer deeper insights into the strength of the Lagnesh, revealing how the ascendant's vitality and character can be shaped by these important planetary placements. So always remember to check for Parvata and Kahala yogas when evaluating the strength of the Lagnesh. They provide valuable cues to understand the core essence of an individual's personality and potential.